Hey, y'all, welcome back to The Right Play, the podcast where I share the real journey and talk about what it's like to be an artist in my disciplines and experiencing them as a human being. Here I am. Welcome to the world. I'm your host, Blake Wright. And if you are tuning in for the first time, space is for chasing your dreams, finding your voice, trusting the process through every twist and turn. And today's episode is personal. It's about growth, grief, breakthroughs, and the idea that life truly comes in seasons. And you got to have faith. You got to have faith in something to get you through these times. And what an honor it is to begin this season of putting myself out here on these sort of platforms with all of you. And I guess the truth is when you begin to honor those seasons and you begin to honor your God, you accept them. You don't resist them. You start to find clarity in the chaos. So you're not behind. Whoever needs to hear that, you're not behind. You're just in a different season. We live in a world where comparison is constant, where there's one truth I've been reminded of, especially the past few years, that it's not linear. It's like that. In real estate, they always say the market is cyclical. And they also say that growth is one step, two steps forward, one step back, and then it just is got a life of its own. And but it's seasonal. Spring brings new beginnings. Summer brings full expression. Fall brings letting go. And winter brings reflection and stillness. So let's talk about what that's looked like for me in my life. So when I was a kid, I grew up in a super small town, less than 800 people, on the coast of Maine. It felt huge. And we had woods and nature and a beautiful place for your imagination to just grow and thrive. And I was super blessed to be born in the family I was born in. I've got two loving parents. Absolutely love me. Great grandparents. A really good family. I had some really good friends growing up as well. And they're my friends to this day. And my dad was a hardworking man. He was an entrepreneur. Still is, but even though he's retired, I think that you just can't break that, He was a force. Still is, if he wanted to be, but especially growing up, he was a force. He found opportunity and he created something out of nothing, like a tree growing out of those coastal rocks. And I was a bright-eyed kid. I was full of adventure, poetry, love, wide-eyed dreams. And I'm the oldest of three boys. And, I thought about, and a lot of people did, that I was going to take over my dad's family business. And I didn't even go to college. Initially, I wasn't even going to go to college for 4 years. I was going to go for 2 years to grow up, find a hot chick, maybe, bring her back to the middle of nowhere and become, whatever, visionary business person. That didn't work out. Before I get into, my college years and stuff, I loved playing basketball. I loved going down the woods with a notebook, writing about things I saw, and I felt I loved feeling like Indiana Jones. Simple as that. And those memories are just forever dear to me at this point. And I love playing with action figures and playing video games. I love playing basketball with my friends. It was an opportunity to do something fun and be with people, which, there ain't much better than that. That's for sure. But in high school, you know, I always had this showman side in me that I feel like it did come out when I played sports and, when I did certain things, but kind of kept it inside, and I didn't really accept it. But I had an art class my junior year, and my teacher saw something in me. She was from California, and moved to this area, and she was an artist through and through. She had a MBA and an MFA. She knew, a lot about the world, and came to this part of the world, I think, just to find the quiet. But she told me, to really embrace the artist side of me, and I was very practical, like, oh, we can't do anything, with art. Can't really make money with it. But in college, I just really didn't know where I was going. And, I went to college with my cousin, who's a couple months older than me. And, he's one of my best friends. And we were both super creative, but again, kind of denied it, similar upbringing. And I hated business school because the truth is you don't need to go to business school to run a business. You need to show up. You need to know when to take risks, financial risk. You need to know how to spend your time. And then you hire out people that you don't know. If you can't figure it out, you hire people out. And it takes a good idea. It takes hard work and getting a little lucky at the start. And the thing that, even though I didn't take over the family business, my dad gave me the gift of an entrepreneurial mindset. And I've never lost it. And I've never taken it for granted, because I realize that it's made me who I am. And it's helped me be proactive. And it's also helped me be creative. Anyway, back to college, decided to not go and complete business school. I wanted to move into art, and I began acting there at the communications school. Just like many colleges, there was flyers, act in our student film, and you get a case of beer or pizza or $40 or whatever, and I did all that. Did a lot of projects. Met one of my first mentors there, who really taught about the realism of what this life is like. What you need to do if you want to do it, and if you can do anything else, that you shouldn't do it. And I think he was trying to be real with me, but also tell me to respect the craft. And I've had to do a lot of the things that he said I was going to have to do. which is kind of prophetic in a lot of ways. You know, sleeping in your car, just wondering what the hell, like it's, you want to live an adventure, go chase your dreams. Simple as that. Um, I started getting a lot of these indie projects and student projects, and I was like, I really want to do this. So I decided to move to North Carolina because I had no money and I knew that I could stay with family. And I got a job, and then I did my best, and I got into a studio program down there for learning about the traditional methods of acting. Strasberg, Meisner. We did a little bit of Uta Hagen, stuff that's based in Stanislavski. And I studied there for a long time. And I met one of my first mentors who really helped me take my raw, real emotion and put it into my work and use it to make believable acting. So, and after almost a year down there, I decided I wanted to go back to college for acting this time. And I got into a few. I was prepared to go to the University of North Carolina at Wilmington because I love surfing and I love the beach. And honestly, I thought there would be some cute girls there as well. So I thought that was going to be the place for me. But I did not end up getting in-state tuition, and then I would have to wait another 6 months. And being impatient, I decided to look into other places and think that, well, if I couldn't get into it, I'll go somewhere else or I'll wait. So I just waited. And I applied back in Maine to the University of Southern Maine, and I got a phone call one Saturday afternoon from this old British fella who was the department chair at the time of the University of Southern Maine, and he sold me really hard on coming back. And, I can remember him saying that he was working at his theater that he's the artistic director for in the summertime. And he was producing a play that I didn't know until later. He mentioned it on the phone, The Last Train to Nibrock. One of my best friends in college it ended up being the lead actor in that show. And it's just kind of funny when you connect all the dots together in the season. But he told me that, if I took what they were trying to teach serious, and tried hard, that I would definitely come out being a better actor. And I didn't get a call from any other school, any other department chair, and the price was right. So I felt like, you know what, maybe it is time to come home. So I did really well in college. I never did a play. My high school literally didn't even have a theater program. And they had theater 1 year when I was a freshman. And I probably would have never done it at that point anyway. I thought theater was weird, at that time in my life. I was a basketball player and gymnast and wasn't ready for it. So I enjoyed being in college, though. I enjoyed studying everything about theater, and I really enjoyed my acting classes and writing classes. And gotta take a little coffee sip every once in a while. And I auditioned for the first play I ever auditioned for, and I got the lead. And that was amazing. And the department chair was the one who was directing the production. And he really taught me how to take what I learned in creating real, believable characters and how to make the instrument louder and larger than life. And he really showed me and taught me in a way how to be a showman. And, I'm forever grateful for that. So I had a lot of great opportunities while I was in school. I was extremely blessed. I got on set for, a couple films that were shooting in Boston and got experience there. I got a chance to work almost 2 weeks on a TV show called Defending Jacob, and it was really amazing to watch, some great actors, Cherry Jones, Chris Evans, and, a great director at work, running a set and seeing kind of the behind the scenes. It was like a master class in movie making. And I slept in my car with my buddy who was the guy who was in Nip Rock. He was a huge Sons of Anarchy fan, and they were filming down in Boston, 2 days overnight shoot for this film called Jungle Land with Charlie Hunnam and Jack O'Connell. And we filmed all night, and then we slept in my car the next day, and then went to set again. And it was crazy experience, but it was fun. And I got a chance to act at Deer Trees Theater going into my senior year, my summer after junior year, and I had an awesome time. I acted in 3 plays and did some stage managing and front of house management for the theater, and built sets and helped set it up and took care of things. There was some complications that summer. The artistic director had health issues, and I just felt incredibly blessed to be there in that situation and be able to help him because he helped me. And going into 2020, I had summer booked. I was going to go back to Deer Trees and do some more plays, and had a film in Boston lined up, and then bang, COVID totally derailed me, just like it did a lot of people. I was 23 years old, and I was drifting. And after doing a bunch of odd jobs and being broke as heck and driving Uber and renouncing my faith and losing faith in the federal government, losing faith in, everything I thought of growing up, I did end up getting a really good job, a very stable job. Company car, good salary, commission, all the grown-up stuff. And I was feeling like a shell of who I was. I still would do a little bit of acting in indie projects and short films. And I actually did at this time start a side hustle called Real Shorts, which if you go on my website now, it's rebranded to Films for Actors. But essentially I would write and produce custom short films for actors for their demo reel, or for them to just get practice doing a role that is outside of their type. And it was awesome. But pretty much 5 days a week for 45 plus, I was trying to numb myself from the fact that I was going to this job every day, and I hated it. And at this time, I realized I was a people pleaser, and I tried to kill that part of me. Yeah, I needed to realize that I had to accept it. I didn't accept that until later, but everything basically came to a boiling point at 25, 4-year relationship, ended. It rocked me. Quit that job. Was probably going to get fired anyway. Gave up my apartment. Moved in on my best friend's couch. We lived it up. Me and my other friends down there. I was hustling like hell. Also getting some acting things. Still didn't have my priorities right, but I was still trying to create. And, around that time, I decided to write a poetry book. And I just never knew the doors that was going to open for me afterward. I lost my grandmother. And I was chasing ways to feel better when I knew she was dying, and I wish I spent more time with her. It still hurts. I miss her. She really believed in me, and I was there at the end, and I'll never forget that. And I was glad I could be. But the poetry book came out. My editor was like, these sound like raps, these sound like songs more than poems. And I did a film, a Stephen King Dollar Baby short, directed by David Jester, up in Ellsworth, Maine. And we were staying up at this Airbnb, and one of the lead actors, Jules, brought his music gear, and we started just making music when we weren't acting. And I was like, man, like I really want to let this side of my creativity out. And my whole life people are like, oh, you can't sing, you can't stay, keep acting, whatever. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna do my thing. So I did it, and I discovered a new side of myself. I made 365 songs in year one. I made 365 songs in year two. I'd started doing shows around Portland, Maine, and dropped a bunch of mixtapes on SoundCloud, and it actually made me a better actor. And throughout this whole time, I was still acting consistently and doing stuff on stage and on the screen, and felt like my artistry was growing. And this is around 27. Another crossroads came with my, job I had at the time, and decided it was best to part ways. And I had no money, and rewind a couple years ago, I knew that I wanted to act when I was living on my buddy's couch. I knew that I wanted to go and pursue art at a professional level. And I was like, I can't do it. I only got $2,000. That's not enough money to do it. It's not going to work. Well, I moved down here to Atlanta at the end of January with less than $800. I had to ask for help from people I knew, and I'm incredibly grateful that they delivered. But, the Bible says that ask and you shall receive, and seek first, the kingdom. And I've tried to put God first more in this chapter of my life, and I think he knows that. And I've also tried to put these feelings that he's given me and these dreams he's given me and respect them and go after them first as well. Because fear was keep the job, just keep playing small in Maine, get good job, get all this stuff. Fear was saying stay comfortable. And but I'm down here. I booked a handful of roles and got an agent and dropped a fire mixtape in 2 months. And now I'm starting this podcast video series because I want to, share these things with you and document this journey, and maybe some of it can help along the way. And, one of the sales mentors, I think his name is Jim Rohn, they talk about him in sales for almost any sales industry. Famously was broke, made his money, lost it all, made more again. Now he's a teacher. And he quotes the Bible he quotes the verse about there's a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to weep and a time to laugh. And there's a time to reap what you sow. And, that's not just poetry in the Bible. That's real life. If you're in a winter season, spring is coming. Breathe. Take in the cold air. Feel it. If you're in the summer, relax. Look back. Enjoy the sun. See the green. Stay grounded. If you're in the fall, just know some things need to be let go before the next season. So don't judge your own journey based on someone else's, because everyone's in a season. And hope and faith are going to get you through more things than an extra $2 an hour ever would. And just remember that every time you go through something, it's supposed to teach you. You just need to be willing to listen. Don't judge your first step based on someone else's marathon. Please stop thinking you're not enough, that you're too late. You're not. You're living your life. You need to do the things you need to do. I'm not going to say you shouldn't be proactive and you shouldn't put in work. But you can't put the roadblocks up here in your mind. So trust the process, do the work, do what you need to do, but stop thinking that you're too late. And if this resonates with you, this episode resonates with you in any way, I'd love for you to comment, share it. If you like this channel, you like what I do, you like the right play, subscribe. And, we're just getting started. But this is a season about truth, purpose, and creating from the heart, embracing who you are. So embrace who you are. Till next time, keep making the right play. Peace.